I remember after forming this idea, I found out that this was before I knew maker spaces were a thing. And so, heard about a similar place in Nashville that I don't believe is open anymore. But a friend of mine, we took a trip down to Nashville, got to see it, got to talk with some of them, got us really excited about it. But again, that was 10 years ago, or 10 years before. And so it's just kind of been a long process of trying to figure out how that would work, how if it could work, and just kind of mulled over a lot of those ideas for a very long time. Then at that time, I was in a decent sized shop off of Cherry Street. So again, kind of a rough area, but I was able to get a shop there. This was my first shop I was talking about. I was able to get a shop for dirt cheap. I mean, I was paying, I want to say it was $4 a square foot, which ended up being, I don't know, I think it was like $800 a month for a 2,500 square foot shop. Granted, it was a old office building, but it was a shop. Part of the room had barely 8-foot high ceilings. Another part of the shop, it was lower than that. So it was literally an office building that we just cleared everything out and used for a shop. And so that's where I was for a while. Working by yourself can have its benefits. I generally am somebody that likes my alone time, that likes, I need time to myself to be able to, process thoughts. But having that much isolation can, drive you crazy. I mean, it's kind of, overall, I would say that much isolation is not beneficial for most people. So so at that time, the Maker City, this organization in Knoxville, was just getting off the ground to organize makers, into a social group essentially. And so I started going to that. Was introduced to a guy named Dan Duncan, who was a huge encouragement to me because, at that time, again, I felt very isolated, very alone, didn't know how to make a business doing this, didn't know if it was possible. In fact, I was starting to think that it might not be possible. And so then I was introduced to somebody who had been a cabinet maker by himself and raised a family for 35 years, something like that. And so I just kind of was like, teach me how, just show me, teach me. And so he really kind of like took me in, was very encouraging, and got really close with them. And his wife, Lisa, at the time she was helping run and organize the Maker City. And so, over time, working with him, worked out of his shop for a bit while I had my own, learned some things from him. But so Lisa and Dan had heard me talk about this idea over the years of a shared shop, and kind of, my passion for that, and my ideas for that. And at one of the maker meetups that we had, when I showed up to it, Lisa just kind of said, "Hey, that thing that you talked about, the shared shop? You're going to talk about that tonight." And so, with no preparation, I was like, "Okay, I guess, guess I'm doing it." And so I just kind of shared with there's probably only 20 to 30 people in the room, shared my idea, had, one person immediately come up and basically said, "Hey, I'm new to town, and I need a place to work." And so that person moved in. That kind of progressed to a couple more people that I met wanting a place to work and sharing some of the rent, moving in. And so a small shop, the working space of it was really 2,000 square feet at the most, probably a little bit less really. And so that's, for a wood shop, that's pretty small for like 4 to 5 people to be working out of. So after a few years of that, as we're just like tripping over each other and, lumber and work just kind of scattered all over the place, we started talking more seriously about officially opening a shared shop, because we had gotten more interest. But then we started doing that. We started looking for a building, which was a lot more difficult than I thought. We looked at dozens of buildings. Knoxville had no shortage of dilapidated, abandoned buildings that for us were perfect. It was just like, hey, nobody wants this building. We want this building. We'll fix it up. We don't need anything fancy for a shop. But for one reason or another, all of them fell through. Some of them would hide flooding issues. There's one building we looked at that was a multi-story building, and we're actually, I think we might have been under contract, or we were almost under contract for it to buy it. And then we got one of those 100-year floods, which seem to be happening less than 100 years apart now. And somebody told us we needed to go by and look at the building, and the entire bottom floor was underwater fully. Like the second floor had water coming into it. And so that obviously was like, well, that's not going to work. And then there was like another building that we looked at that had, also had like a river running through the basement. And then there was another building actually kind of behind me here, I think, but we actually were under contract for that one under the assumption that the current owner was going to replace the roof on it because it had a lot of damage and was leaking. And he was going to do that, but then after we got under contract and he started trying to fix it, found out that the building itself was in far into a floodplain, because I guess they reevaluate those things every once in a while. And we have buildings around here that didn't used to be in a floodplain, but now are in a floodplain, which means that you can't do any work to it. And so he couldn't get a permit to fix the roof. So that fell through. And then we got thrown a curveball. So this was probably close to 2 years at this point that we were looking for a building and just kept striking out. And we got a notice from our landlord at the current shop that we were getting kicked out. We and at the time when I got the notice, we were on a month-to-month lease, and so they're like, okay, well, your lease is up at the end of the month, and we need you to move out, and which freaked me out, because I was like, I can't move a shop in a month, let alone I don't have a place to move it. And so luckily they gave us 4 months. I talked them into letting us have it for 4 months to find a place. But that still, like I said, we've been looking for well over a year and couldn't find anything. So that got me really desperate and started taking some long shots. And so I knew of this place in the old city. A couple guys had that owned the building. I'd kind of worked with them on a job before, so I had met them at least. And so I went down there because I knew they had closed their operation, and it was in the old city, which is obviously more prominent. So I figured I couldn't afford it, but again, I was desperate, so I was going to just be like, hey, can I have it temporarily for a cheaper rate until we can figure out what to do? And at the time, they had a cabinet shop that was operating out of it, but they were in the process of moving out into another shop. And So it was kind of perfect timing because the cabinet shop that was in here was moving out, and the landlords of the building, they were super generous. They let us lease out 2/3 of the building. So I think it was like 16,000 square feet. So we went from 2,500 square feet to 16,000 square feet. And at basically the same rate, you know, a little bit more. I mean, that's per square footage, so it's a lot more, really, but still very cheap, especially in the location that we were. And so it still was intended to be a temporary thing. But, you know, pretty shortly after we moved in, we just found that it was kind of the perfect spot for us. And they, you know, we do pay like a fair market rate that's still incredibly reasonable. So we were lucky enough to kind of stumble on this building at just the right time, have the best landlords that have been a huge help to us, have been very generous. They believed in the vision. Or I guess one of them believed in the vision. So the other one took a little time to get on board, but we can kind of talk about that later. So yeah, so that's kind of how we ended up here. Of course, that, you know, another thing I guess I'll talk about later is that at that same time was 2019 when we were getting kicked out. And so we didn't end up moving into this shop until the beginning of 2020, which obviously had its own problems and was also the same time that we had our first kid. So there were a lot of interesting dynamics that happened, and I guess I can just kind of put that into another video. So we'll kind of pause it here.